Welcome, whoever you are, Facebook world, human world. I come into the town square once again today to talk about organismic consciousness. What is organismic consciousness? This is a term that I've been using for a long time, and I don't find it many places, and I don't find what it means represented in many places, and yet I find it so important that I've made it the prime directive in the field of awakening practice that I teach and facilitate. And in the prime directive, I define it as honoring and supporting the health and vitality of the organism, of the group as an organism. So my understanding of the world is we're already always impacting each other all the time. That's the nature of this experience in this life. And this idea that has infiltrated and entrenched itself in Western civilization of individualism is basically a lie. I mean, there's a certain half-truth to it. We are individuals. We do have an individual self, and that actually is healthy to be honored. But it's like half the picture. The other half is that we're part of one humanity, and we're part of organic life on Earth. Like, this is one living, breathing, carbon-based expression of life force on the surface of this planet. And when we put our awareness, when we have awareness and we put our attention on that, something beautiful is possible that's not possible when we're trying to train ourselves to be individuals. And part of it is the dance of the mystery, and it's hard to explain. And how do I go deeper into that? In the context of a group of, say, 10 people or something, we're in a room and we're feeling, each of us is putting attention, having awareness and attention on the group as an organism. Then we actually have an orientation of what serves us the most. And then we're listening for that, the synergy, the emergent, what happens. It's like if you have a bunch of people, even in a small group of, say, 10 people, and everybody's just out to get their own, like, all I care about is getting my needs met, nothing magical occurs. It's a fight, it's a struggle, it's sometimes it's maybe cordial because everybody happens to want cordial, but it's all dependent on circumstance. It's not when we're feeling the group and identifying, expanding our identity of self to include the whole group. So then the group is my self. Then what I want, what my heart wants, is what serves us all. And when we all want what serves us all, then magic can happen. I don't know a better word than magic, because magic is just something we don't really have words for. But I consider it the intelligence of the universe, or our deeper intelligences, our non-mental intelligences, guiding us into what it knows to be in service of us, what we need. And I believe we have those intelligences within us, for one thing. Instinct, our gut reaction, our emotions, our body sensations, our intuition, our imaginal realm. All these are faculties of intelligence, the spiritual realm. When we listen to them, they were, the prefrontal cortex and our thinking is kind of the newest kid on the block, the newest kid on the bus. And so it kind of gets all the attention. It's the newest and arguably the highest evolution, but we actually give it so much importance as being this new thing in our system, and we pretend the other stuff doesn't matter. But our bodies are the living legacy of millions of years of continuous living wisdom. We have our mammalian brain, we have our reptilian brain, we have what I call the amoebic brain in our belly. Like these brains, even physically, are represented in our body. They're still active in our system. And to think that those intelligence centers, those bodies don't have something intelligent to say to us, to guide us, to information for us, is kind of the height of arrogance and being cut off from ourselves. So one aspect is listening to all these different centers. What does my instinct say? When I have an impulse, where does it come from? Is it just a habit? Is it a reaction? Is it something emotional? Or is it something instinctual? Or is it intuitive? These are very different things. Intuition and instinct are very different from each other, but they're both non-mental sources of intelligence. So these deep, complex human systems are such a beauty when we drop into them. And when we, can each learn to train ourselves to tune into these different levels. And then we come together in a group, and then we can tune into the whole group as if it's also an extension of our own body. And then we listen and wait. And then we're also open to any kind of non-mental intelligence. Universal intelligence is it's often called. Something happens, like what is it that has this? My system just knows I need to talk to this person, and or maybe my system knows I need to put my hands on this person's shoulder or this person's feet or ask this particular question, or magic starts happening because we're listening for these things that we couldn't have come up with mentally. We could have sat with a notepad and really brainstormed for days on what the best things to happen would be. But when we're in a group and we're listening, then these impulses, this information comes from these non-mental sources, and we start interacting with each other in ways that we would have never predicted or planned. And in that, we start to experience like, oh wow, all of a sudden I feel like I'm being held as a 6-month-old baby, and I'm in a way that I never actually was at the time, and something deep in my system energetically is healing and becoming whole again. I can't plan that. But the magic of the right people in the right moment at the right spot responding to this impulse in this way allows for that kind of magic to happen. That's what I would call organismic intelligence. The whole organism has an intelligence as its life force, and then we feel the group as an organism. Right? So that's, we're individual organisms. I'm using organismic intelligence in terms of a group. And that's a microcosm of the larger That's a training ground. But then what if I really feel myself as a cell in the body of humanity, and humanity is one organism, and I behave my whole life as if humanity on whole planet Earth is one organism. That's organismic intelligence. Then I behave as if we are one organism, and I think and I perceive and my heart and my intentions are what serves us, what serves this whole organism the most. And when I'm in that place, I make different choices. In that place, questions around race and gender and all these hot issues, and also nations and us versus them and all the different forms and political parties, all the divide, the ways we divide ourselves, none of it matters. None of it matters if I feel we're one body. All perspectives, have their place, but it's not like there's one right answer and you're one right place. It's like we're one body. If I know we're one body, then I need us all to win. I need to find the win-win-win, because my toe's not going to win and my finger loses, or my ear can't win and my knee loses, or like we all have to win. Every cell in the body needs to thrive in its most healthy form. And the same, like we have the capacity to create a joyful and abundant life for every human being on the planet. The only thing in the way is our consciousness. We have the resources, we have the technology, there's lots of science to show all that, but we can't do it in limited, separate, individualist oriented consciousness. We need organismic consciousness in order to find our potential and our joy and our life as a whole humanity. I mean, if you want to keep playing the game that, well, all that matters is if I win. If I have my nice house and my nice car and a nice fat bank account, what do I care about the rest of the planet, But are we, when we know that there's bombs and drones and wars and strife and different things going on that are not so great on the planet, how are we really at peace? Are we really successful? And how long will that last? Our potential is so much greater. Our joy and abundance that's possible is so much greater. Even for millionaires and billionaires. Like the joy and satisfaction and the depth of life that a billionaire can experience when he knows or she knows that they're part of this planet Earth and not just this agent acting on their own, successful or not. So yeah, this is a passionate topic for me. I feel so much potential with when if we get this point, we don't need anything else. We always have all the things we can study in philosophy and spirituality and personal growth and development, and they're all good, and that's a helpful path. And if we can truly get organismic intelligence in a way it encompasses all those things, I guess it's my golden rule, golden understanding. If anyone has any questions or comments, I know someone's watching at least. I don't know who it is. You can make a comment. I'm just going to tune in and see if there's anything else that I want to add to that. I guess I'll just say that there's a piece about surrender also. There's an element of trust and surrender in the organismic intelligence that I don't have to be the doer. I don't have to be finding all the answers. I don't have to do everything myself. I can wait, I can listen, I can allow for long pauses and gaps of silence and stillness. There's an orientation that nothing needs to happen. We get in trouble when we think we can just make it happen. So I feel like I've been a little bit fiery today, for me anyway. I'm kind of a water person. I'm usually very soft and flowy by nature. And also I'm like, okay, what's alive for me in this moment? What's the emergent truth in this moment? And what's our truth in this moment? You could say organismic intelligence is also an evolution of collaboration. Like collaboration, is kind of, most of us know it, is that they're a bunch of individuals who are coming together to negotiate and co-create something. Nothing wrong with that. That's pretty good. That's better than not coming together, right? But what can be created is still limited by what we can think about and agree upon. So then that's two big limitations, because what we can think about is still quite limited compared to all these deeper, much more ancient wisdoms and intelligences in us. And then once we think about those things, we need to agree upon them. It's like, I think it should be this way. I think it should be this way. Okay, well, we agree on these points. Okay, so we can move forward on those points that we agree on. And that's how most of the world operates, right? In corporations, businesses, governments. There's something so much deeper and so much more profound that I am attempting to convey. Something that I've experienced hundreds of times in the field of awakening now, and other places also. And that something deeper is this evolutionary impulse, this synergy, universal. We don't have names for it. I kind of try to pick words because it's a new experience. You have a new experience, you either need to come up with a new word or give a new meaning to an old word. But when we come together and feel ourselves as one organism, and then we listen for resonance within the system, within the body of the organism. We listen for resonance. So instead of I convince you of my idea and I'm going to convince you of my idea, it's like, let's share things into the field without attachment to being right, without attachment to doing it my particular way, and then listen how the body responds. Listen when there's resonance, like when the right idea drops in, there's this big breath that happens in every person in the room, and like, oh, there, that's what it is. It's simple, super, super simple in a way, but we just don't do it. And that there might be a lot of other reasons for that too. Besides individualism, we're typically quite guarded as a culture. So, we're kind of, we have this kind of lingering collective trauma. We're kind of perpetually in a state of activation and reactivity and defensiveness, and we almost have to be, because of how we've designed our culture. We have to, we fill up our schedules sometimes without even a few minutes break, and no naps, no time for meditation. We rushing around everywhere. We're driving through traffic and getting cut off and getting angry and everything happening. And there's all these advertisements and information coming in and sound and visuals. Life is intense. It's not like there's just nothing happening, knowing around, just wandering through a field all day. And some of us in the country, a farmer maybe still. Who knows? So all that activity that's so busy all day, that keeps us just a little bit in fight or flight. Even if we have a relatively safe, happy, comfortable life, that kind of activity constantly gives us a little bit of this nervous system activation, and we're a little bit on edge. We're a little bit, we never really fully relax. And so learning meditation, learning to fully relax, maybe changing our own lifestyle, maybe finding different ways to do things, that's also in a way quite essential, because we need to find our deep relaxation without activation, without this constant activation, in order to access these other non-mental intelligences, universal intelligence, and then to also apply that and put our attention on the group field. We don't have enough resource in our system or awareness to create a group, to be in to really bring ourselves and be aware of the group as one organism in the group field. It takes a certain level of resource, a certain level of awareness, a certain level of capacity. And so to increase those capacities, learning to settle down and letting our nervous system unwind, doing healing work, releasing all kinds of personal and collective traumas. It's a lot to do. And that gives us access to organismic consciousness. It supports that. And then I can feel you and me as one organism. First me, then maybe my family, then maybe we can expand our identity, our sense of self, to include more and more. Until it's humanity, the whole planet, and even the non-human life. All of carbon-based life form is really a synergistic ecosystem expression of source, an expression of universal intelligence. And there's such a joy in being in that place of knowing I'm a part of this whole, and I am playing my part in the place that I need to play it, with the people I need to play it with. Alright, I might wrap this up soon. If there's any questions or comments, you can post it in the comments if you're on Field of Awakening page. And I'll see it. Otherwise, I don't see who's on or anything, because I'm on a third-party app. Yeah, and I personally long for more of that. experience, shared experience with others. I mean, it's one thing, that's the thing. We focus on this individual transformation, individual personal development, individual meditation, so on. And we need to do that work. That is essential. But it's also incomplete. And there's something that happens when we can bring what we've gained in our personal development and our personal meditation into a collective field, and you bring the same. What you've gained from meditation and your personal development work and whatever healing, trainings or healing contemplations you've done, whatever, you bring that into the collective field. And then we allow that to kind of percolate in the mystical cauldron of our collective experience, and then let that mingle with this life force of the universe, and let things emerge from that, from a collective. That is, for me, the greatest joy and highest experience I've experienced in my 47 years of being in this body. So I do that in Field of Awakening. If you're interested in that, you can send a message or follow the Facebook page or whatever, if you're not already. All right, let me see. Tune in one more time, see if there's anything else that wants to be said from me, through me. Yeah. Last thing is I welcome communications, your comments, your thoughts, your feedback, any desire to connect, to collaborate. Let me know. For me, this is a very awkward format to be talking on Facebook Live and not being able to have a back and forth conversation. It's very awkward, and I had a hard time getting myself to do these. I'm doing these every Thursday at 10, and I had a hard time getting myself to commit to that, because I so want and prefer a dialogue and exchange and participatory, interactive experiences. That's what I want and thrive on the most, and want for us to experience. And so this is so interesting. And so if you have any interest in that, be in touch with me. Let's create something. On that note, I'm just going to close it off. So thank you so much. Have a beautiful day.